When the obituaries rolled in on April 29, 1980, they all said the same thing. The world had lost the man who taught us to fear staircases, showers, and quiet suburban streets. Yet, the private Alfred Hitchcock, the one who slipped into screening rooms every Wednesday, who laughed so hard at a beer-smuggling comedy that his daughter feared he'd fall off the chair, was almost unknown. In his final decade, he kept a private list. Not the polished canon the critics expected, but 7 films that still made his pulse race. Some were his own. Some were silent ghosts from the 1920s. One was a 1977 redneck rocket ride. Together they mapped the secret country of his imagination. A place where terror and slapstick share the same front gate. Where death can be funny and a camera can weep without a single word. Tonight we walk that country film by film, question by question, till the master himself steps out of the fog and waves us in. 2. Number 7, Smokey and the Bandit, 1977. The comedy that made the master of suspense laugh. Picture the scene. Universal Studios, 1978. Projector clatters in the dark. A 78-year-old man sits alone, tie loosened, shoes off. On screen, a black Pontiac Trans Am leaps a ravine while Sheriff Buford T. Justice screams over CB radio, "I'm in high-speed pursuit." Alfred Hitchcock, architect of Psycho, Vertigo, Rear Window, howls. Not a polite chuckle, a full-throated, boyish belly laugh. His daughter Patricia, who watched from the doorway afterward, told biographer Patrick McGilligan, "I'd never seen him laugh like that, not even at Chaplin. Why this film? Start with the surface. 400 cases of illegal cores, a 2-hour police chase, and dialogue that sounds like a jukebox exploded in a Waffle House." But Hitchcock saw deeper. Hal Needham's stunt choreography is a comic cousin to his own suspense ballets. Every wreck is framed with the precision of the crop duster sequence in North by Northwest. Every cut lands on the beat. In 1979, he told an interviewer, "Movement is cinema. Give me speed. Give me collision. Give me rhythm. And I am happy." Smokey and the Bandit was the last weekly screening he saw. He had watched it 6 times. Question for you. When you picture Hitchcock relaxing, do you see him clutching a brandy or a box of popcorn? Does a perfectly timed car flip deserve the same applause as a perfectly timed reveal? 3. Number 6. The Trouble with Harry, 1955. A corpse, a joke, and Hitchcock's darkest humor. Vermont, October. The maple leaves burn orange against a china blue sky. Children skip past a meadow. And in that meadow lies Harry, very dead, very inconvenient. Captain Wiles, Edmund Gwen, is sure he shot him. Miss Gravely, Mildred Natwick, wishes he was her escort home. Jennifer Rogers, Shirley MacLaine, 19 and fearless, shrugs, could be my husband. Painter Sam Marlowe, John Forsyth, decides the corpse is the best thing to hit town since the railroad. They bury Harry. They dig him up. They bury him again. All with the calm of deciding where to put the picnic blanket. It was for Hitchcock a nice little comedy about a body. He shot it in tumbling autumn color, kept the camera wide, and let Bernard Herrmann's harpsichord wink at every grim moment. One line carries the soul of the movie. A passerby sees the captain dragging the corpse and asks, "What seems to be the trouble, Captain?" As Hitchcock told François Truffaut, "That is the picture. Politeness tripping over murder." He loved the movie because it allowed him to be naughty in daylight. No shadows, no expressionist angles. Just bright death and brighter manners. The American public stayed away in droves. The British adored it. Hitchcock didn't care. "Harry," he said, "is my favorite child, nobody invited to the party." Question. Can you laugh at a corpse without feeling any guilt? Or does the giggle make the darkness sharper? 5. Psycho, 1960. The big joke that rewrote the rules. Paramount thought Hitchcock was pulling its leg. A black-and-white horror picture shot with the Alfred Hitchcock Presents television crew. He wasn't joking. He was playing the longest, wickedest prank in cinema history. "I wanted them to leave the theater giggling with pleasure, the way you do after the big drop on a roller coaster," he told the BBC in 1964. No knife appears, No flesh is bared, just rhythm. Shrieking violins, water spiraling down a drain, Janet Leigh's eyes staring straight into your soul. 45 seconds. 70 setups. He killed the heroine after 47 minutes had passed. The audiences gasped so loudly that ushers said they could hear them 2 theaters away. And then came the rules. No late admission, no exceptions. Lines wrapped around blocks. Theaters installed clocks. A phenomenon was born. But beneath the screams, there's melancholy. Marion Crane steals because she wants a life she can't afford. Norman Bates kills because he loves too much. For Hitchcock, ordinary desperation was the scariest monster of all. For years, he kept a rubber shower curtain in his office. Visitors assumed it was a prop. It was a trophy. Question: when you see Psycho today, do you scream, laugh, or both? Did Hitchcock prove that we secretly enjoy being terrified? V. Number 4. The Birds, 1963. When Nature Became the Killer. Bodega Bay, California. A spoiled socialite, Tippi Hedren, drives north to deliver lovebirds. A gull slices her forehead. Then another, then thousands. No score, no explanation. Just electronically mangled bird cries and silence that claws at your nerves. Hitchcock told the Museum of Modern Art, "I wanted Judgment Day without the sermon." He stripped away every safety net. No scientist, no villain, no motive, just wings and beaks and the end of the world in a schoolyard. He broke his own rule. No music. Instead, he commissioned Germany's Oscar Sala to twist gull cries into electronic shrieks. "Silence," he said, "is the most terrifying note." The final shot, Melanie Catatonic, birds carpeting the horizon, contains No the End title. Hitchcock wanted the nightmare to leak into the parking lot. Critics were divided. Some declared it empty. François Truffaut described it as the apocalypse in everyday dress. Hitchcock knew he'd caught lightning. He kept a mechanical crow on his desk for the rest of his life. Question: what do the birds mean to you? Nature's revenge, divine wrath, or pure chaos? Could we survive a catastrophe that refuses to explain itself? 6. Number 3. The Lodger. A Story of the London Fog, 1927. The silent masterpiece that taught him cinema. London, 1926. Hitchcock was 27, nervous and determined to out-German the Germans. He put in a glass floor so the camera could look up at a pacing suspect. Fog swallows gaslight. A serial killer hunts blondes. An innocent lodger, Ivor Novello, rents a room and instantly looks guilty. It is here that every Hitchcock trademark is born. The wrong man, the icy heroine, the voyeuristic lens, the moral gray zone. The producers hated the finished film. Too dark, too German. It all but disappeared into a vault. The critic Ivor Montagu begged for one more chance. The public roared. The Times of London pronounced it the finest British picture ever made. Hitchcock slipped his first cameo into the newsroom scene, back to camera, phone to ear, starting a lifelong game of hide and seek. He would later say, "The Lodger was the first time I exercised my style. Everything after was variation." Question: watch it on mute. Can you still feel the paranoia coil in your stomach? Do silent shadows still bite harder than modern jump scares? 7. Number 2. The Last Laugh, 1924. F.W. Murnau's Wordless Miracle. Berlin, 1924. A young art director, Alfred Hitchcock, 25 years old, slips onto the UFA lot each day. On set, F.W. Murnau is shooting a tragedy without title cards. An aging doorman loses his braided uniform, and with it, his identity. The camera sweeps, tilts, spins. Drunk when he is drunk, ashamed when he is ashamed. Hitchcock watches Murnau sculpt emotion with light alone. He never forgets the lesson. 50 years later, he still calls The Last Laugh the most perfect example of pure cinema. Even the tacked-on happy ending fascinates him. Studio executives demanded uplift. Murnau delivered it with savage irony, mocking the very comfort audiences crave. Hitchcock borrows the irony for his own endings. Think of the sudden carnival in Strangers on a Train or the frozen smile in Psycho. Question. Name one modern film that trusts the audience enough to drop dialogue for 5 full minutes. Have we forgotten how to speak with pictures? 8. Number 1. Shadow of a Doubt, 1943. The thriller he called his most personal. Ask Hitchcock late in life, which is your favorite? He never hesitates. Shadow of a Doubt. Santa Rosa, California. Wide streets, white porches, lemonade on the lawn. Young Charlie Newton, Teresa Wright, idolizes her Uncle Charlie, Joseph Cotton. He's charm in a double-breasted suit. Then 2 detectives arrive. Merry widow murderer. 2 widows dead. 2 Charlies at the same breakfast table. Hitchcock shot on location, used real neighbors as extras, and coaxed Thornton Wilder, fresh from our town, to write small-town dialogue that drips with poison beneath the politeness. I wanted evil in a place where evil has no business being, he told the New York Times. The suspense isn't about explosions, but about glances. Uncle Charlie's speech about fat, greedy women lands like a knife nobody sees. Critics called it quiet terror. Orson Welles called it perfect. Patricia Hitchcock remembered her father rewatching Cotton's performance with tears in his eyes. He continued to return to the film because, he said, it could happen anywhere. Question. When Uncle Charlie's mask slips, does one feel pity for his cynicism or terror at how close he sits to normality? Is evil scariest when it borrows your uncle's smile? 9. Epilogue. The orchestra of emotion. Stand back, and the 7 films become one breathing organism. Shadow of a Doubt, evil in bedroom slippers. The Last Laugh, a camera that cries. The Lodger, authorship announced in fog. The Birds and Psycho, shock as symphony. The Trouble with Harry, death disarmed by giggles. Smokey and the Bandit, pure oxygen. Hitchcock never chased fear for its own sake. He was after feeling, how it rises and crests and crashes inside a darkened theater. The camera was his organ, the audience his keys. Every scream, every chuckle, every nervous smile was a note he played on purpose. But his greatest trick, making us love the fright. Now the screen fades to black. The projector stops. Somewhere in the dark, you can almost hear him clear his throat. That famous silhouette against the glow. Well, he asks, what did you feel? Your turn. Drop your answers below. Your favorite Hitchcock moment. Your theory on the birds. Your confession that you still can't take a shower without humming Bernard Herrmann. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. The conversation is endless. For as long as we continue to feel, Alfred Hitchcock is still in the director's chair, smiling that wicked little smile, ready for one more.